I always suggest these working athletes or anyone who is athletes, so like give the importance how much it matters in your life. Like it shouldn't be like, okay, work life matters much for you, and then you are doing something sports which affect your work life. Don't do that. So give the time or the dedication to the thing which is on higher priority for yourself. So if it's workout like for an hour or like 90 minutes, indoor riding is perfect, what I feel. But if you have to like more than 3 hours, then you can definitely better to go to outdoor riding, because in 3 hour riding, more of your like you're riding in zone 1 or zone 2. So definitely you can enjoy outdoor riding also, like around nature. Or also if you have to do workout, there are like so many limitations while riding outdoor, like segments, cross sections, traffic, so many things. So it's better to do indoor.
I am Baiki Venki, and this is the Working Athlete Podcast. Here, I talk to working athletes from all walks of life and experts from various sports to provide you with inspiration, training tips, time management, and lifestyle advice. If this is something that interests you, please make sure you subscribe to the channel so that you don't miss any future episodes. Today's guest is a cyclist who represented his state at the Nationals. He is a strong triathlete who has a sub 5 hour half Ironman to his name. He is an engineer from IIT Bombay and an MBA graduate in banking and finance from Bangor University in the UK. He's an investment banker living in London and is a co-founder of Indian Esports Racing Team, or ISRT. His name is Rajendra Bhaskar. Welcome to the Working Athlete Podcast, Rajendra. It is great having you on the show.
Nice being here on your show. So yeah, looking forward for it.
Awesome. Let us start by talking about ISRT and how it started. What is the direction it is taking?
Yeah, so basically I wasn't much into the indoor training earlier, but of course I was doing my like those critical workouts indoor, but definitely on Trainer Road or on that Elite Trainer app. But since like last year in the COVID, like everything was shut down and there was not much happening outdoor rides. So I joined this app called Zwift. Like we rode the first ride together on the Zwift last year, March. And this app was good for indoor training, as like it is quite engaging and like quite similar to the outdoor riding. Of course, there are not like weather aspects, but there are like so many aspects over there, and you can find like good riders to race along or ride along. So yeah, I started on the Zwift last year in March, and during the lockdown, we like clocked like huge miles on the Zwift, and we got more friendly with the application and with other groups. And we saw that there are not much participation from Indian riders through the virtual training. Of course, there are like limitations to the timings or through the infrastructure or equipments. So we thought to give a try to, build a Indian Zwift group over. So me and Mank started this discussion. Okay, let's start something for Indian Zwifters, at least to engage them, because most of the Zwifters, they come up and they join some rides, or they, pull back, or they just ride over there. So like just engage them, because you never knows where it can go.
Right.
And after a few months, we saw that many, like even Tour de France was happening virtual over the Zwift.
Right.
And then Olympic was also in discussion with Zwift to consider like e-cycling. And recently, Olympics like announced that, okay, they are conducting e-cycling on the Zwift application this year.
Right.
So it's a great platform to compete against the world-class athletes through this application, sitting at home, like in your room nicely, like with all the ACs on and everything. So that was the initial idea, to give a chance to the athletes or make aware people about like how they can get into the e-cycling or even compete against world-class athletes, even not in tours or not in nationals or international races. But of course, there is something called Zwift racing, so definitely they can enjoy. So we started with this official group weekly ride, and we saw like huge participation from Zwifters. and they also like supporting us. Now we have like around like 15 people working amongst each other. Like they are not like employees, but they are working for each other and helping out each other.
Right.
And this week only we started this official weekly race. So yeah, let's see how it goes. And like we are hoping to grow this community, this virtual community. So it's definitely great. Like you are sitting around the world and you are racing all together. So this is a
Awesome.
really great platform. We are
Yeah.
also planning to like go on other platforms. Like there are like other platforms also like RGT or Ruve. So we will see how it goes in future.
Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah,
Definitely.
yeah, yeah,
So I think this is a great start of bringing, providing Indian cyclists who are riding indoors a kind of platform to kind of come together and from teams and race together, strategize and work together even on online. Say some
yeah,
riders might be in Delhi, some riders might be in Canada, some riders might be in all parts of the world, but there is
yeah,
that Indianness that brings together. And also we might have met in real life sometime or the other, but now we are
yeah,
at various places. And when we are stuck inside indoors, of course we can still ride together and race together through this
yeah,
platform. So that's
yeah,
a great start by you and Mayank. I see a lot of activity. So this race that is starting today is what, tandoori
yeah. It's
what
it's like the Indian name Tandoori Spice Race. It's going to be
tandoori
on Friday
spice
evening.
race.
Yeah, it's going to be on every Friday. And like we have all different categories, like according to your power to weight ratio. So it's not like, okay, you are racing against like top class athletes, you are racing against like similar kind of level athletes. And of course you can keep progressing with the weeks.
Correct,
And we
correct.
are looking forward like to build these different category professional teams to represent. And if we find like potential riders to represent over on the international races, definitely we can look forward to support through like equipments or through technology, definitely in future.
Awesome, awesome. Yeah. So I'm looking forward to these tandoori spice races every Friday, 6 p.m. India time, right?
Yeah, yes.
Great, great. Now, coming to your own journey as an athlete, when did you get into sport?
In sports, I think I was in like from school time only. So, but I wasn't cyclist. Definitely, I was a runner earlier. Like I was a 5,000-meter runner in school time and played national games at that time.
Okay.
In 2010 and 11. But then I was preparing for this IIT exam, and for those 2 years I gained like lot of weight. I was almost like 95 kgs at that time when I got into the IIT.
Wow.
Yeah, and the IIT is a huge campus, and like cycling is a main like mode of transport over there. Like it's a friendly transport over there. So yeah, I started cycling over there, and like in 2014, and then like we kept progressing, and like I started joining these different group rides in Mumbai. And then of course I came like I bring down my weight, and I was thinking, okay, let's try something else. And then I tried to like get into the racing, and yeah, it was going like pretty well. In 2018 I played the cycling national games. But
Mhm.
of course, like your things keep changing according to your like work, because that's most important thing.
Right.
So then like there was not much racing, cycle racing. And of course I was runner, so okay, I thought, okay, let's give back to the running and cycling. And that's where my this triathlon journey started in 2018. And I came back into like ironman races. So I did only one ironman race though in like 2019, this ironman Turkey, and it was a really good experience. And then like it was a good timing also. So keeping that in mind, I thought, okay, let's go competitive if I can in couple of years, keeping my work along. And yeah, of course, if it goes really far away, then of course I can go full-time athlete also. So that's where I'm stands right now, like
Oh,
considering and evaluating myself.
okay. So you kind of started cycling when you were in IIT.
Yeah, so in IIT started in 2014. I started the cycling. I
Okay.
started cycling to lose weight and of course to attend classes on time.
Right. Okay. Okay.
But it's a huge campus and like it's almost like 20-minute walk from your hostel. So of course you have to like by cycle you can like go in 5 minutes or 7 minutes.
Okay. But
So that's how you get, yeah.
so during that time, how long did it take for you to lose weight, and what else were you doing to lose weight? How much were you cycling at that time?
Yeah, initially I was doing these 30-kilometer or 40-kilometer rides. And of course, over the weekends, we were doing like 60K or 80K or 100K, depends on the group ride plans. But yeah, I was going completely with the group rides. Like there was some groups in Powai in Mumbai. So I was joining those group rides. And like keeping that losing weight factor in mind, I was, of course, avoiding, like these, we also like oily food or like sweets. And of course, I was also avoiding dinner, having like quite early dinner, like evenings next time. And then, so I think it took around like 6 to 7 months to control that weight quite efficiently. Like, yeah,
Okay.
around like 75 or 74 kgs. Yeah, till that time.
Okay. So from about 95, you came down to
Yeah.
75.
Yeah. And now like I stand around like 62 or 63 kgs.
62 or 63. Amazing,
Yeah.
amazing. So you have started riding 30 kilometers, 40 kilometers and 60, 70 during the weekends, and reduced your intake, and you mentioned eating early dinners and like about 5, 6 o'clock in the evening. Is that accurate? Okay. And
Yeah.
and that food factor, the food aspect really makes a huge difference, right, in the weight loss journey. What
Yeah,
is your experience?
I think that still matters. Like even I'm training like 20 to 30 hours a weekly still. Even if still I eat those oily food, still I can gain weight.
Yeah.
Like not much, but still I can get like 3 to 4 kgs weight.
Right.
So I think proper eating definitely helps.
Definitely. Awesome. So you can and the TFN 2018 was the first time I met you, I think. Wasn't
Yeah.
it?
We met into TFN 2000. Yeah. So after nationals, I came for TFN that year.
Right. Okay, before coming to TFN, you attended nationals, you were saying. What was the experience like, going through the state selections and then actually taking part in the nationals? What was the experience like?
So honestly, because I was going first time, so I had no expectations from national games. I like just for like this state cycling, and of course I got selected in state selections. Then I went for this cycling nationals in Kurukshetra in Haryana at that time.
Correct.
And I did only ITT race in the senior category. It was like 40-kilometer ITT. And of course, because I wasn't sure much about this going far in this sport, so I just kept my road cycle for the ITT race. So I just, it was more of an experience rather than expecting from the race results perspective. And yeah, it was like really nice seeing that the crowd or the other athletes. Honestly, that was like more inspiring than like going myself, like how those other athletes are putting efforts and dedication towards this sport.
Okay.
That was really inspirational over there.
How old were you at that time? You took part in senior nationals, must be above 23.
So
right?
it's been 3 years back, so I was 24.
Okay. And then you came to TFN 2018.
Yeah.
What was that experience like? How taking part in a multi-day event like TFN in the hills?
So before coming to TFN, I'll tell you like how I got into the TFN. So me and one of my IIT senior, we are working on a sustainability project. It's called the Sun Pedal Ride. And for that project, we make people aware about this renewable energy and e-mobility, like e-transportation.
Right.
So in 2016, we started this initiative when we cycled around the India for 7,500 kilometers. Wow. And we built a solar cycle, which was electric cycle but powered by solar energy.
Mhm.
And so we rode that cycle around 8,000 kilometers across northwest India for 9 states, like almost for 3 months. And we were like, visiting schools, colleges, companies to make people aware and how they can utilize in their space this renewable energy or electric cycles or electric vehicles.
Right.
And that was a Guinness World Record for longest ride on e-cycle. Of course, that record was named on my colleague because he was riding this e-cycle while I was riding the normal cycle. But I was part of that project.
Right.
And from that project, we also invited by the Sun trip, which happened in France. So we cycled over there for 3,000 kilometers and then went into the Iceland for 1,300, and then in US, also in California. So that was a huge trip. And meanwhile, Accor Hotels was the sponsor for the TFN, if you know Ibis Hotels.
Correct.
So
Correct.
they were connected with us through that project because they are also working on this sustainability project.
Mm.
And they invited us to join this TFN as, representing them in the TFN. That's how I got in the TFN. Like, of course, I wanted to this long tour also.
Wow.
So
So this, so uh, TFN, that 900 kilometers in 7 days wouldn't have been much of an issue after riding like thousands and thousands of kilometers, right?
yeah,
So
but
what was this? What was the experience like riding some 9,000 kilometers in across 9 states back in the day?
uh, while we were doing those tours, our aim was not cycling. Honestly speaking, our aim was to interact with more and more people. So, sometimes we were riding just 5 kilometers, stopping with, talking to people.
Mm.
Sometimes we were riding only 60 kilometers a day. Sometimes, of course, we were riding 200 kilometers a day. But our aim was not cycling. Our aim was to, promote the sustainability and e-mobility. So, of course,
Right.
we were cycling. We had that strength.
Mm.
But compared to TFN is like totally different because it has a long distance every day with huge climbs,
Right.
and of course, like you interact with other riders, and so it was a great networking and competitive as well. Competitive segment. So at a time
Yeah.
it was really competitive. At a time it was really exciting and enjoying. And
Yeah.
I enjoyed really the organization of TFN. I never went to any event with such a great organization and like pleasure with riders.
Right.
So of course, I was planning again for TFN next year, but due to some other work commitments, I couldn't.
Mm.
And I'm probably coming this year. Hopefully, if it happens. We don't know about this COVID
Yeah.
situation.
Yes. 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 I
Yeah,
hope. I hope it does. I hope it does.
yeah,
But it would be
but
because
definitely, yeah,
yeah. Already last year we missed, and we were like we're hoping that the situation gets better this year, but the situation looks worse. But
yeah,
let's see if it improves with the vaccination, and by December maybe things will
yeah,
improve.
yeah.
Awesome. Also, the TFN 2018 was one of the most competitive fields.
Oh,
We had a lot of riders from Hong Kong, if you remember.
yeah. That Hong
Lot
Kong thing was, yeah,
lot of
yeah,
riders from Denmark that year.
yeah.
So
Even from US, Denmark,
you,
US,
yes, yes, couple
yeah,
few riders from the US. So it was a very competitive field that year.
yeah,
And
yeah, yeah.
what was your experience riding up Kalahati?
I think that's one of the climb I really want to try it out again.
Yeah,
Like every year, I thought like the only aim to come to TF1 is to try out the Kalahati again and again. That's like my
yeah,
aim to like, because like that was my first time and I didn't know much about this climb, and of course about the cycling also. Now I have more experience of climbing bikes and like strategizing things. So definitely like that's a good like 1 hour workout to aim for
definitely,
and
definitely.
check out yourself. And the important thing is that when you start it's hot and you
Yeah,
can feel the temperature change with every kilometer.
absolutely, absolutely.
Yeah,
By the time you are at the top, you
it's
would
cold.
almost be freezing.
Yeah, like by half the way you are sweating and then it's getting colder, so it's too much
Yeah,
cold for you to when you reach on the top.
correct, correct.
Yeah,
It's an amazing climb, and I'm sure the first time all of us, no one knows what to expect. We
yeah,
just know that it is tough, tougher and toughest, but the first time is always a puzzle.
Yeah, yeah,
But I think now with the kind of experience and training you have, or also you being about 62 and all, I think you would do really well on the climb.
yeah.
Like
I'm
if
definitely excited for that climb.
yeah, yeah,
Although I'm more of a climber. Like I don't like much riding on the flat surfaces nowadays.
right.
I'm liking more of like riding on the climb. So let's see.
Yeah, of course, you became a lean climber now,
Yeah,
so you would enjoy that.
yeah.
Right. So, what got you into triathlon? Let us talk about that aspect as well. The triathlon, you said you did what, 70.3 distance or
Yeah,
full Ironman?
yeah. 70.3.
Okay.
Yeah. So, like when I was doing this cycling into the IIT and these long rides, then
Hmm.
in the IIT, we also have this sports fest and different sports competition between the hostels or departments. So there this triathlon happens. And
Hmm.
of course, I never did swimming. So first thing to do triathlon was to learn the swim.
Right.
So I was trying to get into the triathlon since then only 2016 or 17, but of course that swimming limitation, always stuck to me. And I'm kind of an athlete. Like I never do things just to try it out. I want to do things with perfection. I mean, of course, it's sometimes it's bad for you, but I like that. Like I don't mind spending 2 or 2 years on something and like you then it try out rather than just like keep trying for 2 years.
Hmm.
So I wanted to learn swimming perfectly. So in 2018, I learned swimming. And after learning the swimming, I did this small triathlon here in Jaipur, and I liked this, multi-sport event.
Hmm.
And then I registered for this Ironman Turkey and thought to okay, give like 8 or 9 months training completely just to this event and focus on it.
Right.
And of course, with your perfect training and nutrition and like of course other your work lifestyle also matters a lot. So I was keeping my work life also like exactly time to time, like
Right.
sleeping perfectly on 10 or 10:30 and getting up at 5 o'clock and just training. And it was like through that I did this ATL daily marathon. Of course I did 10 kilometers. And I was expecting my time, like of course from the training you can expect you can guess your timing, okay, what you can do in the race.
Right.
So I did this 10 kilometers in ATL daily in 37 minutes and it was good
Nice.
just before 2 weeks. And
Hmm.
then I mean I was just guessing my time, okay, what time I can expect from this race,
Right.
because you need some target to of course compete against yourself also.
Correct.
I think of course maybe 4 hours 30 minutes or 4 hours 35 minutes we can definitely aim.
Hmm.
And in the Ironman race, my swimming and cycling went really well. Like my cycling was 2 hours 12 minutes, which is like fastest cycling leg from India in a half Ironman race. I
Awesome.
averaged around 40.5 kmph, so it was really nice. But of course, because I pushed hard on the bike, I struggled in the run a bit, which was
Okay.
disappointing. But at the end, like I got in my time, like 4 hours 29 minutes. So of course, it was satisfying overall. There was no regrets from that race.
Yeah, that's fine.
And after that, yeah, after that, because it was a good timing, and of course, I take feedback from other like senior athletes from India or abroad, and they gave me like this idea to get like train more and see if you can get closer to the being competitive in age groups.
Hmm.
So that's what I'm looking forward now.
Yeah,
Like
I mean, like for a first 70.3 event, it's a time like 4 hour 29, sub 4.5 hours is pretty impressive, right? What was your
yeah,
swim like?
my swim lap was 35 minute and half,
Okay.
and then bike leg was 2 hours 12 minutes for 90 kilometer,
And the
and
run?
run was 1 hour 31 minutes. That was like really bad
No, but
according to my training. Yeah.
but what was your half iron? I mean, half marathon PB outside of triathlon?
By that time it was 1 hour 22 minutes.
1 hour 22 minutes, and then it after swim and a bike leg that almost killed you. 1 hour 31 is pretty decent, I think, right?
I mean, Of course, it's. I mean, I don't have any regrets from that timing. But if you compare from your PB versus your Ironman distance, it doesn't like affect that much.
Yeah.
Of course,
Okay.
it doesn't get that slow if you like even do after cycling with
Okay.
proper nutrition.
Okay.
It's
And
usually go to 3 to 4 minutes slower than your PB usually.
okay. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah,
So yeah. So when you compare that to like 9-10 minutes, then it is a
yeah,
progress.
yeah,
Okay. And also by going by your by your a kind of a personality type, I think that also bothers you a bit, right?
no,
So
it didn't bother me because I came in that 4 hour 30 minute uh, that a target. If I would have been out of that 4 hour 30 minutes, definitely it would have bothered me a lot.
right.
Yeah,
Yeah, I think you have a great potential to kind of course, keeping your work life also in mind. I think the half iron, if you are pursuing triathlons, up to half iron is quite good, and where you can be really competitive as well. Looking at the
yeah, yeah.
yeah, okay,
Yeah. So
great.
I'll look for a few years if I can, like get really competitive and if suits, then of course I can quit my job and like completely work on it, even
Hmm.
for full distance or in long career wise. But
Hmm.
of course, it doesn't get that competitive, then of course, like just maintain your current standards in the sports as well as maintain your work life.
Right, right. Yeah.
Yeah.
But how was your fueling like for the half iron event? How did it go?
My nutrition was really like these all these things depends on your training plan. So I was trying all these different like what product should I use in the race. I was using all of those different products and like how much calorie intake should I take per hour basis, or like at what time interval shall I like take these J's or other nutritions. So I
Hmm.
was trying all of these different things in my training plans. And in race I use around I think 300 calories per hour, and I
Hmm.
was taking calorie intakes at every 40 minutes or 25 minutes. Like of course I mixed my gels in the nutrition bottles, so I
Hmm.
was like taking those through the shifts rather than like chewing them.
Okay.
And I also mixed all my like other nutritions in water bottles, so like keeping one bottle with all the nutrition and one bottle just water, because if you keep all the water in like with the nutrition, it like your stomach really
Right.
feels bad. Yeah.
Okay. Okay. So about 90 grams of carbs per hour kind of plan, was it? 300
Ye-
calories
yeah, roughly, yeah.
comes comes
Yeah,
to around
70 to
right.
90 gram, yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Awesome. Awesome.
And the only nutrition intake you can really take is your cycle leg, because of course in swimming you can't take anything.
Hmm.
And your main during this cycle is to refuel yourself for your run leg. That's most
Right.
important part. Like you're not refilling for your cycle leg, you're refilling for your run leg, next leg. So
Right.
you have to refill in your, before finishing your cycle, like 20 to 30 minutes before finishing your cycle, you have to refuel yourself, which
Yeah.
will deliver energy in your run leg.
Right. Well, of course, on the run you can maybe carry a gel or two, but
Yeah.
it's more on the cycle leg where you can really fuel properly.
Yeah. In run leg, you can definitely refuel, but that will help in last part of your run.
Right.
And before that, if you start struggling, those gels won't help you at all.
Yeah. Yeah. You have to make sure that you are not entering a run depleted, right? You got to
Yeah,
be if you have to really perform, you should be like on the top of your energy levels all the time through the event.
yes.
Coming to your indoor riding versus outdoor riding, right? So which do you feel is harder?
I think I feel it's more of like mental game. I
Right.
think if I
Yeah.
have to do workout, then I feel outdoor riding is hard. And
Okay.
if I have to just like cover mileages, then I feel indoor riding is hard,
Okay.
because sitting on So if it's workout like for an hour or like 90 minutes, indoor riding is perfect, what I feel. But if you have to like more than 3 hours, then you can definitely better to go to outdoor riding, because in 3 hour riding, more of your like you're riding in zone one or zone two. So definitely you can enjoy outdoor riding also, like around nature. Or also, if you have to do workout, there are like so many limitations while riding outdoor, like segments, cross sections, traffic, so many things. So it's better
Yeah,
to do indoor. So
where
that how
the
I do. Yeah, exactly. So usually I do my weekend rides, long rides outdoor, versus all my like weekday rides I do indoor.
yeah.
That how I do.
Yeah, makes perfect sense, right? Because um, execution of workouts becomes that much is not exactly easy outdoors, unless you have like perfect road conditions, which allow you to say you have a sweet spot workout, or even we were to a threshold workout. You don't want downhills in middle of your interval. That kind
Yeah.
of puts the power
Workout.
nosedive. So
Yeah.
yeah, I guess
Yeah.
it kind
I
of
mean, I always and there's this extra mind sense you always have to keep active. Like, okay, I have to take care of vehicles, intersections, and everything. So while riding indoor, you don't need to think about all of
yeah,
those things.
you have to do that calculation. Okay, I want to do this 20-minute interval. How many how many cross sections am I
Yeah.
crossing? How careful do I need to be? And are there vehicles coming opposite to me? And all these things, right?
Yeah.
So that yeah. So you say intervals and hours, shorter workouts, you find them more easier indoors versus riding longer rides
Yeah.
indoors, right?
I mean, it like not it's not easier versus harder, because of course it depends on your intensity or like how hard you want to go. It's more about your mental peace or your comfort zone.
Right.
It's more about that.
Correct.
Yeah, and of course, while you are working, you also have to consider that time also. Like if you are going out, like let's say in Jaipur or somewhere in Mumbai, I have to do like work out my outdoor. I have to like ride 30 to 40 minutes, go out of the city, and then do my workout and coming back. So that's like more of like also time consuming sometimes. So
Correct.
that's also the factor.
Yeah, that also the cutting out the commute to the place where you can do your intervals, and coming back also, all this time is cut out. If you are
Yeah.
indoors, you can do 5-10 minute warm up and then get into the workout, and do a 5-10 minute cool down, and you are home, right?
Yeah. Yes.
Absolutely, it's a great time saver as well, right?
Yes. Yes. Yes.
Okay, so how about coming to that is training. So how about racing indoors versus racing outdoors? What sort of
Uh,
uh,
I would prefer definitely racing outdoor, like
okay,
100%.
yeah,
But because of this COVID, you have no options. So, but like having something better than nothing. So, of course, like these jeep racings are good.
mm,
The one good factor I like about this jeep racing is that you race against really strong riders.
mm,
So sometimes you never know like what your VO2, or like sometimes when you are taking your activities, you don't get those power numbers, but you can
yeah,
get those in these racings because you are racing against really strong riders.
yeah,
So I think sometimes definitely you can cross your limit in these indoor racings. Of course, you can also cross those in outdoor racings, but that's always depends on this field of
failed.
size of your race. So
Mm.
that's really difficult, especially in India, to get that strong uh, race field.
That is true, because there are not many races here, right, in India, where even without COVID,
Yeah.
How many races do we have, and how many opportunities do we get to race outdoors? There are monthly races in Bangalore, and some other cities have some semblance of regular races, but not everyone get to take time to travel and take part in those races. But yeah, another great point that you made is the field, right? Not
Yeah.
everyone can take part in races that are outside their city, or so all these constraints will limit the strength of the field
Yeah.
that is there in the race.
And your
But
experience, your racing experience, it will limit your racing experience in terms of powers or in terms of other tactics. There are like so much tactics in racing, so that limits those things.
right. So, I mean, there is nothing that will substitute actual racing outdoors.
Of
Uh,
course.
yeah, but the ability to it will hone your ability to read the field. What is the right moment to attack? What is the right move to follow? And all these things you will learn by racing more in real life. But as you said, the what indoor racing gives is that because it is like open for people all around the world, and it based on different categories of power profiles, you might end up racing with even pros, right, in cat
Yeah.
A kind of scenario. So
Yes. Yeah.
when you get into that zone and are following those top class riders, you have the chance to push your limits to the extreme, and
Yeah.
find new limits for yourself. I think that that is definitely a good plus point for indoor racing.
Yeah, I mean, there are like so many aspects which you can get benefit from this indoor racing, and definitely you can apply on real life racing whenever you get chance over there.
Mhm. So
Yeah.
what are some of the things that you learned from indoor racing over the last 1 year or so?
Uh, I'm more of triathlon, so basically I was looking more of like, and still I'm more of a like sustained power athlete. Like if I have to like target some powers for some numbers, definitely I can do that.
Mm.
But these called like road racing is nowhere close to that, because even like I saw in Zip that okay, like some riders at 4 watt FTP, they wins race against like 6 watt FTP. So there is so much of these techniques, like how you draft, where to attack, which athlete you have to follow when they are attacking. So these are like very small things, but those things matters a lot. But still that's not my interest as of now. But yeah, because there is not racing, so I'm enjoying those things. And of course, if I get some chance in road racing someday, then I can use those things.
Mm.
So most of like how to sprint, that is really important in the road racing, because you always finish with a bunch, and like
Right.
how to win that bunch in like 5 seconds or 10 seconds, that
Yeah.
critical.
Right.
So, like we saw in even in tours also.
Yeah. So what sort of events do you prefer in indoor racing? Like longer three
uh,
hour kind of stuff, or how? What do you prefer?
I mean, you were for racing, right?
Right.
Yeah, so there are very few racing which goes above, I think, like strong racing which goes about 90 minutes. Most of the racers who are like really strong, they always race like for 60 minutes or 90 minutes.
Right.
So there are very few races which goes about 90 minutes. I always prefer like 60-minute races or 75-minute races or 90-minute races. Of
Mm.
course, if I go for longer races, then I want ITT, like 3 hour ITT or 6 hour ITT. Even though like since last year lockdown, I tried that 12-hour ITT. Of course,
Right.
I can do, but that's not my interest as of now. Like going into the ultra or like long distance cycling.
Right.
So I'm just trying to, of course, that's exciting sometimes.
Yeah.
But I do these 60-minute races because in 60-minute races you can evaluate yourself better rather than in 2-hour racing or 3-hour racing in terms of power or in terms of your performance. And of course there is less racing. That's not even my aim also, because half Ironman, my cycling will not go about 2 hours 30 minutes, so that doesn't make any sense racing about that time.
Right. If if there is no structure involved, if you are just riding, indoor can feel like it is taking forever and ever, and it's quite boring, right?
Yeah. Yes. I never felt it boring, because of course it's boring if you are not motivated, or if you are like not feeling to go hard or try it out, then you can definitely get bored. But I never feel bored in indoor training.
Yeah, if you have kind of structure, you have a goal for every workout, then nothing can be boring. Right.
Yeah. And
That,
how
that
how
that's
that yeah how that workout or that thing is important for you, of
yeah.
course. Yeah.
So every minute you are spending on the bike, either indoor or outdoors, is towards that goal you have, that you are training
Yes.
for. Of course,
Yeah.
nothing can be boring. So
Yeah.
that's the ultimate, I think, secret sauce for not feeling bored. Have a
Yeah.
goal and work towards that goal in terms of having a stable plan and work.
And I always suggest this thing to athletes who get bored in the indoor training. Like when you are like, let's say, making SS efforts or like riding for an hour on like zone one, it's of course boring. But you have to evaluate why I'm doing this 1 hour riding on zone one. Try
Yeah,
out to find out the benefits of that. Try out different things in that workout. Like play with your things, play with your mind, play with your legs. Like do these different drills in that zone one training, and whenever you're like doing those zone three or zone similar with those,
right.
try to find out like why I'm doing this thing.
Yeah.
If
So
you
what?
once you know those benefits, you will be engaged in those things.
Yeah, that's a great point. Put that workout in the context of your long-term or short-term goals, and then everything makes sense. And even the recovery rates that that you put, maybe 1 hour or 2 hours at zone one, zone two, become important if they have the context, in terms
Yes.
of that. And then, like you mentioned, it is you can do so many other things during those workouts as well, that kind of can be beneficial. You can work
Yes.
on your cadence, you can work on your, without increasing the intensity, you can work on your cadence, you can work on your glute engagement, you can work on maybe drills like single leg engagement drills,
Yes.
and all these things that don't need you to be riding at intensity. You can incorporate in these shorter or less intense workouts.
Or
That's
you can also listen to some podcast. I mean, that's
like,
what I do. Like sometimes, like listen to the podcast. There are like so many podcasts these days. Like you can definitely find like different podcasts, so listen to them.
that
You
is
can
what
learn while you are training also.
Yeah, that is what I do. And that's how the Working Athlete podcast has born, out of those sessions indoors while I am listening to the podcast and thinking, this is something that can, help people like me, a working athlete, who can, find inspiration from people who are similar to them, and how they have learned and grown over the years, and what are the things that they have learned. So if we can provide that, I think it is beneficial. It will be beneficial to the people. That is how the Working Athlete podcast has born as well.
I mean,
Out,
yeah.
yeah,
I mean, you can achieve these multi goals. You can also keep yourself engaged in your workouts while you're getting bored. While you can also listen to some other athletes or their perspective or their things if you want to know about them.
correct.
So yeah.
So you're both nourishing your uh, brain as well as your body, right? So that
Yes.
is a
Yes.
great way to go about it. Awesome. See, what is your favorite place to ride so far?
Uh, for cycling, I would say it's really difficult because I enjoyed everywhere. Honestly, I
Yeah.
never think about that. Okay, what can be like best place to go for cycling? I mean, I like those Kasara Ghat or that other ghat in Mumbai. I always used to go over there for riding.
Hmm.
Similarly, while I was doing long distance riding, I loved riding in Himachal. I mean, over those coming up and down.
Beautiful
So I
places. Yeah.
yeah, so I loved riding over there. Of course, I mean in foreign countries you get like clean roads and spacious. So
Yeah.
definitely you will love those roads.
Yeah, I loved riding up north in the lower Himalayas when I was there in 2018, I think, or
Achha.
earlier, and of course in the Nilgiris, beautiful
Yeah,
places,
Nilgiris, of course.
amazing rolling hills and terrain. And also my favorite is one of my biggest favorites is the Dolomites, the Girodil Dolomites that we have gone to in 2019 in Italy.
Oh, that's
Beautiful rides. So I think these are like three of my favorite places. Nice. So um, what what is your who are your sporting heroes? Do you have any?
I mean, for me, honestly speaking, I observe like from this perspective of an athlete. Every athlete have different story, and they inspires me in some way. Like it's
Right.
definitely not connected to sports. They can inspire me in some other ways, definitely.
Hmm.
But usually, I follow Jan Frodeno, which is like Ironman world champion.
Hmm.
So yeah, I follow him quite closely, like what he does or how he trains and all of those things.
Hmm.
Because he also won like medal in Olympics and now like he's ruling the Ironman World Championship. So
Awesome.
I'm following him, and then of course following more than then of course I also follow those athletes who are close to me, like like I one of my IIT senior Nihal.
Hmm.
We closely follow each other and like talk about different things, and if I feel bad or how to change these training things, we discuss a lot on these different factors,
I
because we
have
come from the same background and we can understand each other's analogy, like from work perspective as well as from training perspective.
right. So I had the Nihal on the podcast a few weeks ago. What a guy. Did you guys know each other from the degree times, IIT Bombay times, or?
Yeah, he was my senior when I got into the IIT. So there you have to select the NSO national sport, like NSO in the IIT in first year.
Hmm.
And Nihal was in athletics, and of course I was runner in the school time, but I was heavy at that time. But still I selected athletics,
Yeah.
and that's where we met like in the IIT in sports. And of course we used to like train over there together. And there is also intra-IIT sports meet where Nihal has to he like used to rule the that intra-IIT sports meet. So yeah, we know quite closely from there.
Nice. How did you take part in any running events during your IIT Bombay time?
Not because you get more like because teams are selected based on your performance, and I
Right.
wasn't a good performer at that time, of course, because of the weight and all of these things.
Correct.
So by the time I was able to get into the teams, I wasn't much motivated for this, because by the time you come in third year or fourth year, your focus is more on your career
Correct.
rather than just following the sport.
Right.
Yeah, and then also I would get more attracted towards cycling by that time. So
Great. So, what are some of the things that you kind of do put in place to ensure that you are not missing workouts, although you could be quite busy, especially at the start of your career. You'll be quite busy doing a lot of stuff, right, work wise. So how do you make sure that your training is also on track? How do you manage time there?
I feel, of course, because of this indoor training, it's much easier for me now to manage the timings. Because if you are riding outdoor, you have certain limitations. Okay, on certain time you have to get out, and that's also one of the factor. I do more of indoor training only on weekends because you are free, so you can go on the long rides. So over the weekdays, I do this indoor riding, and for indoor cycling, timing is not concerned. So how I manage, I get up early, and running, I hate indoor running. Of course, I do indoor running also, but I hate it. Like
Right.
you said, that you need that motivation or engagement. I get in cycling, but I don't get that in running. So that's really boring for me. Even 20 minutes of running, but in
Right.
cycling, maybe I'm more engaged in there. So I engage. I mean, I don't get bored. So for running or swimming, I keep morning sessions because mornings I can like go out for the swimming pool and run outside. And cycling, if I have time, then I do in morning. Otherwise, I keep my cycling workouts in evening, or my
Okay.
other strength workouts or gym workouts I keep in evening after the work.
So did you try the Zwift running thing? Did it work?
No, I haven't tried yet because
Okay.
that my treadmill is not that smart treadmill, so it doesn't connect with the Swift yet. So I'm still waiting for that sensor to
Okay. Okay.
arrive.
Okay.
Yeah.
So it is more running and swimming outdoors and then cycling indoors kind of thing.
Yes, yes, yes. So I'm hoping that I'll get excited even for indoor running, but there are some disadvantages of more of treadmill running. So I'm avoiding much of treadmill running also.
What disadvantages?
Uh, no, not basically disadvantages, but of course there are like so many studies that your knees get damaged with the time, more time spending on the treadmills. But still, of course, you can do at least your interval session or your one of the workout on treadmill, and then you can do, of course, long run on outside. Because running I do usually 3 sessions or 4 sessions a week. So couple of
Okay.
sessions I can do on the treadmill and couple of sessions on, so at least, like you said, it's better to manage my time.
Right.
Like, right, yeah.
Awesome. Awesome. So what are some of the tips you would give working athletes to do well in sport while doing well at work and family lives?
I would say everything needs discipline, whether it's sports, whether it's family, whether it's your work. So that disciplines towards the things which are on higher priority for you. So like I always suggest these working athletes or anyone who is athlete. So like give the importance how much it matters in your life. Like it shouldn't be like, okay, work life matters much for you, and then you are doing something sport which affect your work life. Don't do that. So give the time or the dedication to the thing which is on higher priority for yourself. So
Right.
let's say for me right now, like sports or both are important, so I'm giving the equal priority both the things without disturbing each other. If it disturb one of them, then I'm doing something wrong.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Great. So as you said, it is very important to prioritize, knowing what, how much you can give to the sport, how much you can give to the work, and how much time you need to uh, budget to your family and stuff. Of course, you're
Yes.
not
And
married
yeah.
yet, but when things come into
Yeah.
that picture, then
I mean, we know, of course, we know athletes who left sport for their family or for their other things, because and of course they were like potential athletes. While there are also athletes who are like potential athletes, but they left family behind to pursuing that sports and like make family proud or country proud.
right.
So it depends on your importance and priorities.
Yeah, you each of us need to prioritize for ourselves according to
Yeah.
our life situations, and then plan accordingly, right?
Yes. Yes. Yes.
Awesome. Thanks, Rajendra. It's been a great session talking to you. It's great learning you about your journey and how you have progressed over the years, and how indoor training is helping you. and I wish you all the best with the ISRT and your own training and racing in the future.
Yeah, thank you so much, Venki, for having me here, and it was really nice discussion. We'll see you hopefully in near future over at testing in India, definitely.
Definitely, yes. I'm looking forward to that.
Yeah, thank you for having me.